DETV News is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service. Moving forward.
Live proudly, boldly, and with peace of mind by advocating for your health with an early cancer screening. The LGBTQIA+ community is at higher risk of cancer, but screenings can detect cancer early when it's most treatable, giving you the power to live exactly as you are. Talk to your healthcare provider today. If you don't have insurance, talk to a nurse navigator to see if you qualify for free screenings.
Protection for abortion providers and renters were among the many topics front and center this week in Dover. Plus, Delaware is not faring well in a just-released childcare report. We'll tell you about it. And if you happen to be a Dogfish head and a Tom Hanks fan, well, you're going to want to hear what the famous brewery is up to. Those stories and much more straight ahead on DETV News. Hello and welcome to DETV News. I'm Matt Ford. Thanks so much for joining us. The 2023 Kids Count Data Book is out, and it doesn't have a lot of good news about Delaware's child care and education network. The annual report released Wednesday said that much like the nation, Delaware is facing numerous challenges. According to Kids Count in 2020 and 2021, 13% of Delaware children birthed to age 5 lived in families in which someone quit, changed, or refused a job because of problems with childcare. The report said the average cost of center-based childcare for a toddler was nearly $12,000 here in the first state, representing 10% of the median income of a married couple and a third of the median income of a single mother here in Delaware. In the first state, the median wage for childcare workers was $12.84 per hour last year, which is lower than the national pay rate. You can check out the report for yourself, seen at the website on your screen. In other news, 2 firefighters were injured in a 2-alarm fire in the Chestnut Valley neighborhood of Hockessin. When firefighters arrived, they saw a garage on fire with flames spreading to an adjoining house. A mayday was called about 40 minutes into the incident when an interior wall collapsed on 5 firefighters. In total, more than 10 fire companies from Newcastle and Chester counties were on scene to help. The fire was under control in about 1 hour, and the Delaware State Fire Marshal's office say damage is estimated at $500,000, and that fire began in the garage when a recently used riding lawnmower malfunctioned. 3 residents were displaced by the fire. And the Senate passed a bill this week pertaining to confidentiality for abortion providers, minority party representation on an emergency health committee, and payouts for employment discrimination. Senate Bill 158, sponsored by Senator Kyle Evans-Gay, focuses on confidentiality rights for medical providers. The bill allows anyone who is a reproductive health care services provider or employee to apply for participation in Delaware's Address Confidentiality Program. That program allows participants to keep their actual address confidential by applying to the Department of Justice for a substitute address for their mail to be delivered to. Now, Senator Gay said the bill is in response to that of a threat for closure of abortion clinics after the Dobbs decision that overruled Roe v. Wade. She said Delaware clinics also face pro-life backlash and cited a Newark clinic that was firebombed back in 2020. The bill was passed unanimously and heads to a House committee soon. Housing justice advocates and members of Delaware's ACLU made a final push this week, urging lawmakers to pass a renters' rights bill. Senate Bill 1 would provide legal protections for low-income tenants in evictions proceedings. According to Mike Brickner, executive director of the ACLU of Delaware, the current situation during eviction cases is inequitable. A similar bill was considered last year, but it ultimately fell short on votes in the House of Representatives on the last day of the legislative session. On Tuesday of this week, the House voted to pass the bill with a tally of 25 to 12. However, the Senate voted in favor of the bill back on March 28th with bipartisan support. Senate Bill 1 is under final consideration in the Senate following technical amendments made on Tuesday. Then it will likely make its way to Governor John Carney's desk. Last month, the Legislative Joint Finance Committee included a $1.3 million in fundraising to build out this program in fiscal year 2024, which will be voted on later this month. Despite Republican opposition, several energy-related bills advanced through the House Resources and Energy Committee in Delaware. Senate Substitute 1 for Senate Bill 7 seeks to update the State Energy Office's responsibilities, including developing the State Energy Plan and transitioning to renewable energy. Senate Substitute 1 for Senate Bill 103 requires new homes to have electric vehicle charging stations. The bills pass with committee with mixed votes and will proceed to the House Appropriation Committee and House floor, respectively. Republicans expressed concerns about the cost and reliability of renewable energy, while proponents emphasize the need for progress and support for electric vehicles. Efforts to build a park on top of a section of I-95 here in Wilmington have hit a funding roadblock despite a feasibility study and community stakeholder meetings. The project, aimed at reconnecting neighborhoods separated by the highway, would cost an estimated $360 to $400 million and would take about 10 years to complete. State officials are seeking federal grants from the Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods program, but competition is fierce, and even if awarded, the grant would cover only half of the costs. Further planning and funding discussions are still needed before the project can move forward. In the meantime, bike and pedestrian improvements along adjacent streets are being considered. Moving down to Kent County now, Governor Carney and others celebrated the groundbreaking for the soon-to-come Harrington Public Library. Joined by First Lady Carney, the state librarian, and other elected officials, the Harrington Public Library is the only public library in the whole state that does not have a purpose-built facility. The library is one of 9 here in Delaware to receive funding from the American Rescue Plan Act, which included $40 million for library improvements in all 3 counties.
And you're finally going to get a library separate from the facility where it is, an old funeral home in town, and worthy of the children. These children, who are our kids, who need a library. Many thought that libraries were going to be obsolete with the internet. You know what? They're more important than ever.
And Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long hosted the first ever summit to address the state of residents' behavioral and mental health. The summit, titled 2023 Mental and Behavioral Health Summit, Pathways and Partnerships for a Stronger Delaware, was held in response to the ongoing national and state opioid crisis, as well as the increasing demand for mental health treatment and services exacerbated by the pandemic and the resulting gaps in access to care. According to the CDC, every 11 minutes in the United States, we lose someone to suicide. And as the national opioid epidemic continues, Delaware recently reported its highest yearly overdose deaths in the year 2022. COVID-19 has had far-reaching effects across the country, impacting families, workforce needs, and treatment, among other areas. The World Health Organization has reported a 25% increase in anxiety and depression rates in the year following the pandemic. The event concluded with a special fireside chat led by the Lieutenant Governor and featured former U.S. Representative Patrick J. Kennedy, founder of the Kennedy Forum. The discussion focused on strategies to enhance behavioral and mental health support, including insurance parity and wraparound treatment solutions. Many Delawareans are facing a great retirement crisis, with more than 200,000 Delaware workers currently lacking access to an employer-sponsored retirement program, meaning that they have no effective way to save for the future. A program called Delaware Earns is working to stem that crisis. Delaware Earns will automatically enroll employees into a state-facilitated retirement savings plan. The purpose of the plan is to enable more people to save for retirement, reducing the need for additional taxes.
50% of Delawareans are concerned that they won't have enough money to retire with. And then 54% of our businesses here in Delaware don't offer an employer-sponsored retirement savings plan. There's a gap there, and we need to meet it.
State Treasurer Colleen Davis is hosting a retirement discussion and readiness event on how all Delawareans can realize economic and financial empowerment through the Delaware Earns program. The virtual event will be held on Tuesday, June 20th from noon to 1 p.m. For more information and how to register, head to the website on your screen. And a bill that would prolong a program giving financial help to students pursuing a trade was heard in the Senate Banking, Business, Insurance, and Technology Committee this week. Senate Bill 154 repeals the sunset of the Focus on Alternative Skills training program. Now, that program provides up to $9,000 in training for graduating high school students into a non-degree program for certification and credentialing. It's for students who enter a trade rather than going into college. Rachel Turney, Deputy Secretary for the Department of Labor, said there's plenty of money in the pandemic relief funds that need to be spent by the end of 2024, and that could help the state pay for this program. On average, she said that a student in the program receives about $8,000. No opposition was voiced, but the outcome of the bill was uncertain because Senate committees do not take their votes in public. And this week, the Wilmington Learning Collaborative held the highly anticipated community Q&A for the Executive Director finalist, Dr. Laura Burgos. Here's DETV's Kaylin Pride with more.
The Wilmington Learning Collaborative consists of a network of Wilmington schools that focus on improving outcomes for students across multiple districts. This week, a public forum was held as part of the process for the search for an executive director. Executive Director finalist Dr. Laura Burgos is a career educator with experience in the public, nonprofit, and private education sectors.
What do you see as the most significant opportunity for the WLC? And then along the same lines, what do you see as the most significant challenge?
Yeah. I think the most significant opportunity we have is to redefine how we create change from the ground up.
She is the only finalist for the executive director position after finalist Edward Ryans withdrew last week. The collaborative's governing council will vote on whether to elect Burgos as the agency's first executive director in a meeting tonight.
I think that's the big opportunity, is redefining how we work together, how we work across schools and how we work across districts, how we share learnings, how we take risks, how we experiment in a way that allows us to be honest about what's succeeding and where we've made missteps and how we course correct.
To watch the full forum, head to the Wilmington Learning Collaborative's Facebook page. And to see tonight's public meeting, head to publicmeetings.delaware.gov. For DETV News, I'm Caitlin Pride.
The Delaware Division of the Arts has announced an exhibition which will feature works of 17 artists who have been named the 2023 Individual Artist Fellows. The exhibition will be curated and hosted by the Biggs Museum of American Art in Dover. The exhibition offers a special opportunity for the public to engage with and admire the talents of these artists. The selection process was rigorous, involving the review of work samples submitted by the artists. Out-of-state arts professionals evaluated their samples, considering both the demonstrated creativity and skill in their respective art forms. In 2023, a significant number of work samples were received by the division, with 118 Delaware choreographers, composers, musicians, writers, folk, media, and visual artists participating. After an anonymous review process, 17 exceptional artists were awarded fellowships representing 2 masters, 7 established, and 8 emerging artists. These talented fellows hail from various communities across Delaware. For additional information about the Individual Artist Fellowship Program, visit arts.delaware.gov, and for more information about the award winners exhibition, visit the Biggs Museum of American Art website seen on your screen. And 18 of Delaware's foster youth were honored in a ceremony earlier this week for persisting in the face of multiple problems to graduate from high school and college, often exhibiting excellent work in school. UGrad education program, which started in 2018, has served more than 18,000 foster children throughout the state with academic support. The program pairs struggling students with advocates who help the students evaluate their needs and communicates with teachers and schools to support the students and help them complete the work that they need to graduate. The foundation focuses on the needs of children and teens in foster care, often victims of child abuse and neglect, who are deeply affected by the trauma in their lives. The UGrad education program has achieved a 100% graduation rate the past 4 years. Nationally, only 56% of foster youth graduate high school, and here in Delaware, 53% of children in foster care graduate from high school. While teenagers age out of foster care at the age of 18, they transition to the state's adult independent living program with limited support. UGrad, though, will follow its students through college if the students so desire. And before we go tonight, product placement is a common occurrence in the movie and TV industry, but a Delaware brewery is taking it one step further by creating a new brew to coincide with the release of the upcoming Tom Hanks film, Asteroid City. Dogfish Head has introduced the limited edition Asteroid City Lager just in time for the movie's premiere later this month. Offering a taste reminiscent of the mid-1950s desert setting, brewed with time-specific ingredients and a mid-20th century Pennsylvania lager yeast, the beer aims to capture the essence of the era. The label on the cans, as you can see here, resembles a billboard from the film featuring a desert rock collection surrounding a giant asteroid hole. While the Asteroid City Lager is available at select Alamo Draft House locations and, of course, at Dogfish Southern Delaware establishments, quantities are limited with approximately 30 cases and 10 kegs in stock. So, if you're interested, you are urged to act quickly. And that's going to do it for this edition of DETV News. Make sure to like and follow us across your favorite social media platforms and take a look at our website. That's DETVCH.com. With tonight's news, I'm Matt Ford. Lauren Wilson and I will see you right back here next week.